All right, so last time we learned the artist's secret and we double dipped our stars and the glow as well as the doors and windows of our buildings. Today we're going to use that same secret to create that wind that flows through the sky. When we looked at Starry Night, we saw that wind, how it moved and swirled in our sky. But we're not going to use straight lines to do that. We're going to use the same small dashes like we did with our stars. Now, just to plan out where our line's going to go, I'm going to start with just one color on my brush. I want to plan my path of wind. So I'm going to start from one side of my page, and I'm going to end pretty close to the other side. So watch me first. I'm creating a dashed line with my blue paint. It's not going straight. It's curving up and down. It's going wherever there is open space in my sky. I'm going to go over my spire there, and I think I'm kind of running into some stars. I think I will end it here with a swirl. So I'm going to turn my dashes. Notice how my dashes turn to make that swirl. So I'd like you to first put your brush in one of your blues, either one is fine, and choose your first path of wind and end it with a swirl. Once we have that first path and swirl, now we're going to start using our double dipping. So I've got this blue in my brush. I'm going to dip part of my brush in the other blue. So just like before, I have one blue and the other blue both on my brush. I'm going to do a second line of wind. Now this line of wind, I can see both of my blues. And I'm going to go right next to it because I want a nice wide path of wind going through my sky. I want to notice both colors in my dashes. So we're going to start using our double dipping technique to add to that path of wind. All right, I've got one more thing to tell you before I'd like you to work on finishing the rest of the sky. Now we've done double dipping so far. We've dipped part of our brush in one color, part of it in another color, but now we're going to triple dip our brush. So I have one part in this blue, one part in this blue, and one part in white. I have 3 colors on my brush. Now I need to add a new path of wind. We already have one. I want to have more than one path. So I'm going to once again start from this side of my paper. Ooh, look at each of those dashes has more than one color. I'm going to slowly create that dashed line. I might have to redo my triple dip. I'm going to keep that line, and it's going to go all the way across. I think that one won't end with a swirl. It will just go all the way across. We want to fill our sky with paths that go from the left, one side, all the way across to the right. If a path like my first one ends in a swirl, then I might continue it from the swirl to make sure it goes all the way off the edge. Now we want our paths to be more than one line wide. So this one is 2 lines. I want to add another line to this wind, and I could even add a 3rd line to that first path of wind. If I run into a star, I can just jump over it and start on the other side and keep going. If I run into my spire, I can just jump over it and keep going. I don't have to paint on top of it. And this path over here, I want to make sure I add some more lines to it. So we are going to now fill up our sky with lots of dashed lined paths of wind. When you're finished, you'll know you're done because the whole sky is full of wind. There's not a lot of large areas where I did not put my wind. Also, remember to add some swirls of wind. More than just one swirl. You want lots of swirls in your sky of the wind swirling around the stars. Once everyone has finished their sky and their wind, we are going to use our blues and white to do one more thing in our Starry Night. Our houses, the walls of our houses, so the fronts of our houses and the sides of our houses are going to be this blue and white combination. We're going to leave the roof of our house for purple, so we're going to only paint the fronts and the sides of our house. So even though I have a line across this, it's all the front of my house, so I can use it all. Remember to keep using your double dipping technique because that creates a nice blend of colors. Go ahead when you're done with your stars and sky to paint the fronts and the sides of all your buildings. This is it for our blues and white paint. So check your sky. Make sure it's full of wind that goes from one side all the way across to the other. It's horizontal swirling lines. Make sure your buildings, you've painted the front and the sides of each of your buildings.